What's going on, guys? Welcome to Hitting the Ice with Off the Top. As always, I am Shadow. I am here with Matt and our special guest tonight, Arcade Regiment, aka Phil. How's it going, Phil?
Man, thank you first off for having me. It's going really good here. I have myself a nice drink. I'm ready to chat some stick puck like I always am, and yeah, it's gonna be a great time, man. A lot of trades have happened in the last. Oh my goodness, it's been a week, but it feels like 20 minutes. That like
Yeah,
every team's
this
just
has
been
got to
moving.
be this has definitely got to be the busiest I've seen the NHL around this time for trades.
It is massive, dude. All of it seems like there's a lot of things to get into with this, but it seems like there's a very one-sided conference that has done stuff and a very one-sided conference that is basically the Patrick with the board nailed to their head meme.
I mean, why can't we just have half of the teams in the Eastern go to the West? I,
This one would be better.
I feel that would be an amazing playoffs if that happened right now with the way the teams are set up.
Not 116, 215. Do it that way.
Yeah.
Toronto still meets Tampa, and I'll just cry eternally.
It's definitely crazy. I mean, Detroit went from east to west. Look how that worked with them. Or west to east, excuse me.
West to east, despite being 4 hours from Toronto. That's always been so funny to me.
Yeah.
That's been so funny to me. Oh, my Lord.
I mean, since they came back to the east, they haven't really continued that playoff streak, now did they?
Ooh, I think they're like what 4 cups in 20 years. Will beg to differ. I think they're happy there with that one.
Well, 100% they're happy with that, but like shows that they don't belong in the East. Shows that the Western Conference is the weaker conference.
Haley in the chat is saying she's sad the Islanders didn't do anything. Your big trade happened a couple weeks before the deadline. We'll touch base on that too.
That's,
Boring hockey Islanders, yes, yes, sir.
That's a team that surprises me. The Islanders, man. Like, you want to talk about fell off plus ratio, man? Was it just Barry Trotz, or did they just? I don't know.
They just don't need him.
Yeah, oh my goodness, we're not getting into that. Okay? It's been beaten to death. Okay, something with that team, man. I don't know what it is, but yeah, like they made a big move, but they're just surprising.
They definitely made a big move. So where do you guys want to start with these trades?
Hey, Brofio. We still wish the Quebec Nordiques were still playing in the NHL.
Oh, one of the best jerseys. Let me tell you, one of the best looking jerseys, man.
I mean, I'm glad the Colorado Avalanche need to wear it more often. That's all I gotta say.
We put the reverse retro like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and how just clean that was. Oh,
Yeah, that was pretty fire.
My goodness gracious. You know what? I think one thing I do want to talk about early, and Scals, I think you're gonna like this, is the New York Rangers.
Ooh, they were busy.
I cannot believe, like, the rich get richer, but like you get Vladimir Tarasenko, and then Patrick is upset that they didn't trade for him, and then he's just like, yeah, I still want to go there, and New York gets like 17 weeks to clear the cap space in the worst kept city. He gets traded to the Rangers in a move that shocks nobody. What the hell?
So
honestly, that's a team that's scary to me. That's what Boston. I'm scared of New York, literally.
So the problem with the Rangers right now, and this is the aftermath of having this trade go through, is we literally have no defense right now. The last couple games we've been playing, last night we played with 5 defensemen because Lindgren is hurt and Miller is suspended. The game before that we played with 5 defense because Lindgren got hurt and Miller got suspended. And then the game before that, we played with literally 4 defense on the team because Miller got suspended. Like, it was horrible. We played that game with 12 forwards and 4 defense. And they had to do things like that in order to gain the cap space to make this trade happen.
Yeah, facilitating a trade like that is not easy, that's for sure.
No.
So you're telling me they willingly went in with only 5 defensemen?
So on Saturday, they
Yeah.
played. I think it was Saturday. They played against the Capitals,
Okay.
and they willingly went into the team game with 20 players dressed,
Okay.
but they only were going to play not 20 players, it's 18 players. It's 12, 6, and 2. So 18 players dressed. They were willingly going to play only 16 skaters, 11 forwards, and 5 defense. Because by doing that, it altered the cap structure on the player still got played for it, but it didn't count towards the cap because the player didn't play a shift. So it saved money on their cap, but the player still got paid.
Oh my god!
But
I
then
just say how much a hard cap sucks.
But then you had the there was the 5-minute major, and they had to play one of the forwards to take that penalty, and then he played afterwards. So they ended up playing with 12 forwards and 4 defense for the rest of the game.
That's insane. Like this, this might be a bigger topic, but man, this hard cap system really needs to go. The fact that you have teams willingly not dressing a full team just to accrue cap space to make moves, man, this system sucks.
They were dressed. They were willingly benching them.
What's even crazier to me is we didn't prior to the 05-06 season. We didn't even have a salary cap, right? Or we did, but it wasn't there. And then they introduced this to big teams, competitive like Arizona and stuff like that, Atlanta. But it's really done nothing. Now we're just having teams like Toronto, New York, Jersey, Boston, Tampa meeting that cap floor, but circumventing it so many different ways that it's just making a joke of this whole salary cap in general.
So that's
it's astounding.
The problem with what you're saying is, well, not the problem. The result of what you're saying is happened because the cap has not gone up in the last 3 years.
Yeah, but that's because of the pandemic era, right?
Correct.
But
so without that, it would be different because of what these players got paid and how the players that were all traded and during all these were already had contracts before the pandemic hit.
Right, but you bring in another, like for trades, like we're going to talk about within the show here, you have trades where, example, you have third teams taking on salary just to facilitate these trades. Now, my issue is, well, not really issue, my thoughts on this is, I don't know about you guys, but I'd like to see the NHL adapt an MLB style where the luxury tax comes into play.
That would be good. Same with the NBA. NBA trade season is the most exciting in all of sports. You see big names move all of the time. I mean, Kevin Durant was traded, Russell Westbrook was traded. You know, 2 no basketball players moving teams. NBA free agency is insane because they have like a soft cap and a tax. And I think MLB also has like a luxury tax as well. But the NHL is just always 16 steps behind when it comes to this. And you're right, we see a lot of like third teams getting 5th, 4th, just to facilitate taking on half salary. And that really benefited this year is the Rangers. But another team that I'm more familiar with is Toronto Maple Leafs. They also benefited from teams taking on salary to help move players.
So in regards to you bringing up the other sports about the caps, MLB has different tiers of a luxury tax. And it's all based on how many years in a row you've hit it. So there's ways to have it for a year, and then if you get back underneath it, it resets the tax that you're paying. Because if you hit it for a couple years, like the third year that you hit it in a row, if you're above this certain tax, they start taking away money that you use for international players. Like,
so here's my question for you, because I don't watch a lot of baseball, and I'm not quite sure Phil does either. But I know you do, and you're a big fan of the Yankees. Mm-hmm. So, and I know the Yankees take full advantage of luxury tax.
Right.
That much I do know. So, what team would you compare? I guess the easiest way is if you look at the NHL now, which team is comparable to the Yankees in that where it could benefit them?
So I can tell you right now, the team that's benefiting the most, that's like the Yankees, actually is Vegas. Because I'm looking at Cap Friendly right now. They have a projected cap hit right now of $96 million. The cap limit is 82.5, but they have players on long-term injury reserve where this other additional cap is sitting. So there are ways in the NHL to do it legally based off of long-term injury reserve. It's just this year...
Which we've seen in the past with Tampa.
Right, but this year they cracked down on it where you acquiring a player and putting them directly on LTIR with the
The
designation
Tampa
to
effect.
right.
Tampa.
Well, no, Tampa didn't acquire somebody last year for it.
No, but let's be real. The three of us can agree that Tampa made that system look like a joke.
Well, I think it
Back-to-back
was
cups,
more. Yeah, it was
back cup final appearances. Like, come on.
like
They
Montreal.
made that LTIR look stupid.
Do you guys remember the 2015 Tampa complaint that they had? Do you remember that?
It was the
Oh,
same.
Oh yes, where they complained about the LTIR.
Right.
Yeah.
And they complained about it, so they're like, well, screw it. They're not going to take what we're saying seriously. We'll just abuse it too.
Mm-hmm. Damn right. If
I
nobody
mean,
do anything,
It
okay.
worked, right? It worked, but
Like
I mean,
right
you have
now,
teams.
Vegas has 15 million in long-term IR salary pool. You have Montreal who has 20.275 million.
Isn't 15 of that Carey Price?
Carrie.
His contract's not 15 million.
No, I think
No,
it's like
his
10
contract's
points.
10.
10.5.
Montreal's LTIRs, yeah. They have.
But you have Sean
him-
Monahan with 6.35 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you have three players gaining 20.275 on LTIR. Like, I know it's not counting towards the cap, and Carey Price is never playing again. So that's like the one exception where this actually makes sense for that.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're doing it to have a player come back during the playoffs like other teams are. Like Boston this year could be one of the teams that is going to benefit from that. Because they had to put
Taylor Hall.
Taylor
he
Hall's
just
on
went
it right
down.
now. He's on it right now,
Yeah.
and he's going to get a third opinion on it because people want to know what's going on with him because they did that. They put him on there to make the trades. So we could see it this year with Boston.
Well,
And
before
that's
we
a
indulge,
scary team too. Like that team's already scary, but if they actually like use that space, I mean, the trade deadline today is well and over. In case you guys don't know, and a lot of moves happen. But man, if Boston like knew earlier and had an extra $6 million to spend, that team's already scary. But imagine if they did more.
Yeah, I mean-
couldn't imagine.
so before we really divulge into the actual trades here, what about the trade that got canceled after being announced? And that's JVR to Detroit.
That one I think fell through. I think it wasn't like canceled. I think one of the teams pulled out at the last minute in CNHL, so we're never going to know what happened. But yeah,
Right.
Detroit and Philly, it kind of fell through. And
I mean, Fletcher's in
mean-
charge there. Can you really see why it did?
I mean, yeah, but Detroit's an interesting team to be buying on James Van Riemsdyk after trading Philip Roenick.
I mean, there was
Like,
lots
it's
of
just
rumors
weird.
swirling that JVR was coming back to Toronto.
And I don't know if they could have afforded him, man. He's what, making
That's a hefty
That's
cap
too
for a
much.
player that's just a net front presence.
Yeah, and he's not a top line left wing anymore. That ship has sailed. But that's just
Well,
it was curious to me that Detroit was in on JVR after selling Vrana, selling Roenick. I mean, they got great young pieces in Sider. They also have Lucas Raymond, Philip Zadina. They got those like two massive gentlemen who are like six. I'm blanking on their names right now, but they got those massive gentlemen who are like 6'6", just towering on offense. So it was just curious to me that after basically losing to Ottawa twice, and they were buying two more players, like after selling it, it's just that the whole trade didn't make any sense, and it kind of fell through. Which that makes more sense, but Detroit was just in a weird position to buy, especially after seeing how the East loaded up.
Yeah, and they have no really room to buy in the East if they're not making a playoff push, really. I mean, they're only five. I mean, they're 5 teams out of the playoffs. I'd say points, but they're 5 teams out, and they're way too inconsistent this year to be even buyers at this point, like you alluded to there. So I'm just as confused with that move as you are.
It really didn't make sense. It did make sense. A lot of trades did absolutely make sense. I mean, Timo Meier going to the Devils, that team's now even more scary with Jack Hughes. Timo Meier. I mean, they're also on like the up and up like this season. Out of nowhere, they had that massive winning streak. I mean, they loaded up. Boston's loaded up. The Rangers loaded up. The one team that didn't load up that really surprised me was Carolina. Like nothing.
Well, they got Ghost.
I mean, and they got Pugliarvi.
And they got
Oh,
Puljujarvi.
Puljujärvi can't even go to Carolina yet because of visa issues.
Yeah, he's still skating around in Edmonton right now. He can't be with the team because he's not with the team. He's just skating on the ice all by his lonesome. Man, I feel so sad for the guy.
And
Yeah.
the Bison King just looked lonely today.
But yeah, they got Ghost, which I thought was actually a pretty decent pickup for them. I liked him as a player in Philly. I know he was gone down in the past few years, but him playing over there, I think that could actually help his career.
They got a really good defense core now. I'm looking at Slavin, Burns, Brady Shea, Brett Patty.
Well, is Burns even defense this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
I know at one point he was a right wing again.
And then they have Ghost and Calvin DeHaan. That's a really good top six. Like that, I guess that's fair. You know what? I guess they really didn't have to make too many moves. I mean, they still have Svechnikov, Jarvis, Teravainen, the Natchez boy. Woo! Martin Natchez. That guy is unreal. I like him. But yeah, that team's already deep. But it's just surprising that they weren't in on another big name, man. Like, I guess they feel like they can still contend for a while, and it doesn't feel like it's a last dance, like how Boston is, like how Toronto is right now. Like, that's the sense I'm getting from both of those teams is like, hey, we better win now. There's some jobs that might depend on it.
What about? Sorry. What about Torrey Stretcher and Nick Ritchie going to Calgary for Brett Ritchie and Connor McKee? The Ritchie brothers, man. Did they just not want to change their last name on a jersey? And like, I don't get it.
I hope they keep this. I hope they.
I was gonna say they should just keep the number. It'd be great.
Yeah. Are they the same size? Like, if that's even better. Just hand the sweater over when you're at like their house, their parents' house or something. Be like, here you go. Does that make housing easier too? Just stay at my place.
How surprised are you that Jonathan Quick was moved? Not once, but twice.
It makes sense on the second move. He very much so
did not want to be in Columbus.
No, he very much so voiced his displeasure with that whole trade. I mean, it's Adam Foote, the GM, correct?
Rob Blake, if I'm not
Rob Blake.
Rob Blake,
I know it was one of the two great defensemen. But Rob Blake sent a message that was not the greatest. Where 2-3 weeks ago we're putting out a statue for Dustin Brown, and then we're trading our franchise goalie for nothing to nowhere. Like, don't get me wrong, Quick has fallen off, but that's still disrespectful to a goalie that led you to 2 cups in 4 years.
I mean, they got Korpisalo, and I don't even know who the other guy is. Gavrikov?
The Kings, yeah, it was Korpisalo and Gavrikov. Yeah.
Gavrikov. I don't know who that kid is, but I mean, Corp's a good pickup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they gave away a first-round conditional pick to a team to take Quick.
Now, I don't know how much you knew about this, Scalise, but I think I had a discussion with Phil not long ago. Korpisalo leaving Columbus made a lot of sense because he was legitimately being, I'm going to use the word bullied by that fan base.
Yeah, and it probably has to do a lot with Kravlinkis, with his relationship with him.
Matisse.
Yeah. And I'm sure he just wanted to get out of there and have a fresh start. So I don't blame him for wanting to leave there. He was in a tough spot.
100%, man. Like, just memories. Like, you see teammates in the off season, and just the absolute tragedy that befell Kivlenieks, and how he like saved friends and family. Like how he went out. Yeah, it's gonna weigh on you, obviously. Like, you're never gonna truly get over something like that, and being in that city. So maybe it's nice he got like a fresh start somewhere else, and he's on a playoff mound team with the Kings. And listen, I'm just excited to see Jonathan Quick play against the Kings, hopefully, in the first round there, because I think that's what it's shaping up and that's what it's looking like. But that will just be an absolute treat to watch. And I always love stories like that, so I'm kind of hoping that Vegas kind of pulls off the upset and gets a win there. Actually, would it be an upset? Not really. Just pulls off that kind of like, haha, get the upper hand kind of thing. I really like that. I like narratives. That's why I kind of like that little story there.
I can't believe Columbus traded Voracek. Like, that's... Like, is he...
But he might not play again, though.
I was going to say, isn't he on IR? I thought they were going to not allow trades like that.
Oh, sorry. They were monitoring them. That's their verbiage. You know, the NHL they have to cover their own butt, so they were monitoring trades like that. You know, we're gonna keep a closer eye. We're gonna handle it. Yeah, they were monitoring that, but I guess you know if it's where did he end up going again?
Arizona.
That explains it right there. It's Bettman's baby.
Well, everybody wants to play at the University of Arizona.
Yeah, listen, Mullet Arena. It's just there's something about it, man. Listen, them 5,000, it's gonna feel like 50,000. Swear to God.
It's pretty sad when Coca-Cola Coliseum, home of the Marlies, hosts more than an NHL arena.
Dude, OHL arenas can hold more.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've been to a few of them, and yeah.
OHL arenas can hold more than Mullet Arena. But it's the Arizona Coyotes. I mean, listen, do you know how many Hall of Famers they have? They have what, Shea Weber still? They had Chris
they just
Pronger.
got Weber, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. They had Chris Pronger, Pavel Datsyuk,
Datsyuk, yep.
Marian Hossa.
I think Zetterberg went there too, if I remember correctly.
Andrew Ladd is on IR right now with them too.
But he was actually playing games, which surprised me. That actually made me pop because I thought he was done, but then I saw he was still scoring points, and I was like, damn, all right, not bad, not bad.
Yeah, they have $28 million right now on IR. That's
just
insane.
looking. But just looking at their lineup, like this is barely an NHL team. Like, I'm sorry, I'm looking at some of these names and I'm like, I've never heard of you.
I mean, they have a good top three.
They have a great first line. You are absolutely correct. So they have a great first line. Clayton Keller, Barrett Hayton, and Nick Schmaltz. That is fantastic. But
then you also have Lawson Krause, and then
that's true. That's true.
And that's it.
How dare you disrespect the legend of Milos Kelemen or Vladislav Kolyachonok or Michael Kesselring? I know Kesselring's got 2 rings, but Michael Kesselring? How dare you disrespect those legends?
Bill Kessel, the man with more...
I mean, I'm sure they have good prospects coming up, and I think they have a ton of picks now.
They
have a ton of picks.
Oh, they have a surplus in the first
because everybody wants to play in Arizona.
Listen, in the first 2 rounds, in the next 2 drafts, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks.
And then you have
the first 2 rounds.
13 in the next 3 drafts.
Oh yeah, it's disgusting.
And if you want to count round 3, add another 9 picks to that.
Like, a great draft to load up on too. By the way, like the 2023 draft is apparently one of the deepest it's been in years since I would say arguably the 2016 draft. So what a great one to load up picks for. But I'm at the Cap Friendly right now. It looks like a sticker book. There's so many circles with other teams' logos on it right now. It's hilarious.
I'm still willing to say if we're going on a draft class, the 5 class is the deepest. Because I mean, you got guys like Bergeron going in the 2nd round.
Yeah, like, well, that's benefit of hindsight. That's like, oh my goodness, what, 50, almost 20 years ago at this point in time.
Yeah,
but like I'm talking recently. Like the 16 draft is insane. The 15 draft's pretty good, but the 16
draft, that's the math sweepstakes, correct?
So,
yes, which also had PLD.
I mean, and you also look at, I believe, the top 10, and only 2 members of that whole draft top 10 class are still with the remaining teams that they're drafted by.
Yeah, didn't get traded. Like, that's honestly hilarious as well. The 2015 draft was pretty exciting. But yeah, this whole deadline just as a whole was exciting. And I want to play a game, gentlemen. I just kind of thought of this on the spot here. You know, your big wrestling podcast as well, an entertainment podcast. And wrestling, there are winners and losers. So I want to hear what your winners and losers of the trade deadline are. Like, if you got to pick one team of each, who would it be?
From each conference?
No, just in general. You can pick from either conference.
Ooh, the biggest winner, in my opinion, has to be the Rangers, just with the 2 talents they picked up. Like, just along with Kane and Tarasenko, like, that's, to me, that's going to send them over the top.
I mean, they made the conference finals last year with their already
right,
decent
which makes them super scary this year. Like,
yeah, that right side is.
But honorable mention, and full bias aside, as much as I hate them, Boston too, just gross.
I mean, it's tough because I want to say the Rangers, but they are my team, so it can sound a little on the bias side. Um, I mean, just looking at trades real quick, I feel like the Devils made some sneaky acquisitions in addition to the Timo Meier trade. I still don't know how they pulled that Timo Meier trade off without having to give up any of their top prospects. I really still don't understand how San Jose did that.
That's fair, man. That's fair. It seems like this was the year that every GM just woke up and said, "You know what? Let's just fire draft picks into the sun. Who cares? Who cares?" It
Well,
feels like
other than the
importance of
Bernard
draft
draft,
picks.
what do we really have coming up in the next couple of years?
That's a
Because usually,
great point.
usually we have a hindsight of next 3 years of these drafts of who's going what and who's doing what. But other than Bernard draft, I don't really see much of a phenomenal talent coming. I mean, that could change, of course. I mean, talent's born every day in the O or the Dub, or doesn't matter. But I think that's the way GMs are looking at it: is the drafts aren't going to be deep enough for them to even. And a lot of the trades that happen have term on them too. It's not just rental players.
Like
Mhm.
I still just don't get how they didn't trade Alexander Holtz, Nolan Foote, or I don't even see him on here anymore. Interesting.
Might be buried at the bottom if it's non-roster players. They're usually at the bottom of cap friendly.
Yeah, but I don't even see him on here anymore. It was one of the brothers.
So it was your question, Phil. So what's your winner here?
Okay, yeah, so I'm going to be 100% biased. I'm going to play into this card. I don't care. I loved everything Kyle Dubas did this draft. Or not draft. Oh my God, Jesus. The trade deadline. I'm looking at the next draft phenom. By the way, you were asking about who the next one is. Connor Bedard's cousin, Gavin McKenna, looking like a real phenom. He's already outscoring Connor Bedard in like minors and stuff like that. Like he's looking insane.
That's crazy.
Horace Apple doesn't fall far from that tree. Excuse me. But yeah, Toronto, in my mind, huge winner. The last couple of years, Kyle Dubas has been extremely conservative. Keeps his hands, keeps everything close to the chest. Doesn't make too many crazy rash decisions. Kind of plays it by the book. Trusts in this core. But it feels like this year was different, and Kyle Dubas just said, "You know what? Why not? We're going all in." Makes a
It's
big.
definitely crazy though.
It is. It is
It's
crazy.
It's definitely crazy because me and you have witnessed what the Marlies have done, and while Dubas was in charge. And over the last couple of years, watching him handle the Leafs, it made you question where his motives were, because watched him put one of the best AHL teams alive together. They set records, they even league records.
Mhm.
And then he did nothing with the Leafs for the last few years. I wouldn't say nothing, but not enough to push us over the hump, in my opinion.
Until this year, when they traded for Ryan O'Reilly and Noel Acciari, shoring up the top six, and he made two nuclear lines, which I didn't think were going to stay together, and it looks like they're not really going to stay together. But Ryan O'Reilly, great leadership, still a really good player. Noel Acciari had some grit, has some attitude, and then changes up and gets Jake McCabe. Also trades and gets Eric Gustafsson, who is also a really offensive-minded defenseman. He's got to move out Rasmus Sandin and Pierre Engvall to clear up some cap, which I understand. Sacrifice has got to be made, and it's going to be quite sad to see a couple members of the Swedish House Mafia leave. But those are the breaks when you're trying to win a Stanley Cup, man. You got to be comfortable
Right,
getting
and
some new faces in.
I mean, you're going for it because over the next few years, you ain't got no picks.
We have something.
You have
And I mean, I'm a huge fan of ROR.
You have 3 picks in this draft coming up,
Yep, that is it.
and one is not even yours.
But
Chips in the middle, baby.
Ryan O'Reilly coming to Toronto, I love it. I got to meet the man in person a couple of years back when he won the Cup with St. Louis. Very humble person, very big man. So, to me, it hits a little close to home too, because he did ask me if my daughter could sit in the Cup with it. So it's a cool experience to see him play now for my favorite team. Another questionable. I question it, but I understand it because I feel like Dubas took the Raptors approach and moving out a fan favorite. I mean, Would I have thought it would be Rasmus? No. But you got to do what you got to do to win, right? And that's what we are now. We're in a very win mode because if we don't produce, there's going to be problems, right?
Underrated fact: Kyle Dubas does not have a contract next year. Does not have a contract.
Well, he's trying to earn himself one.
Exactly.
Anything.
Motivator.
And if they win a series, I think he got it.
Yep. That's all.
I think he has to make the Eastern Conference Final.
No, he just needs to win a series because when was the last time Toronto did that?
2004, baby.
So,
which ironically, May 4th, 2004. So my birthday is the last time they made it far into the playoffs.
So that's not a shot at you guys or anything. I'm just saying, if he gets them to the second round, I think he's earned himself an extension.
That's what I. But yeah, Toronto is obviously my big winner. A team that kind of, like I said, puzzled me. They didn't really do too much, or at least they moved players, but like I feel like they didn't get enough back. Like you said, the San Jose Sharks, man, like they moved Timo Meier. Didn't really get anything too crazy. Like they got an extra first, they got a second.
They sent Nick Bonino back to Pittsburgh.
Well, no, they didn't send. Oh yeah, they did. Yeah. Well, he went to Montreal first, and then went to Pittsburgh. But yes,
had a stopover, a little layover in Quebec. You know, little bit of a layover there. But it's an absolute travesty that Erik Karlsson's having a resurgence this year, and he will not be playing in the playoffs. But devil's advocate, that contract, holy albatross, man. That is, I can see why it was a bit tough to move that one.
Well, since we cover wrestling, Carlson's contract is kind of like the Roman Reigns situation. You're backed into a corner.
Yeah, like, how did he get that contract? And it's a full no move clause. So it's not even that he can. I mean, he would dictate where he would go. It's similar to the Patrick Kane situation. And you know you're going to have to retain his cap on it. So you're just sitting there going to be eating $5.75 million cap because no one's taking him if you're not retaining 50%.
Exactly. For 4 more years after this season, too,
right,
if they were to do that.
And they already have Brent Burns for 2 more years after this year. So that would be that'd be over $8 million just in cap being retained over the next 2 years. I can see why they didn't move him yet.
Does that move happen in the summer, or is it kind of one of those like things where, you know what, it's tough, but this is the lay of the land, and sorry, Eric, you're kind of just stuck here, buddy.
Either that, or they take a bold risk and absolutely buy him out.
Oh, that's a big buyout, though.
But you know what I mean? Like, we've seen it before with the big buyouts.
That is a
But I don't know if that magnitude
buyout
is the buyout we've seen.
Oh, man, I kind of want to know what that looks like, to be honest. I'm morbidly curious now. I know they have a bio calculator. I got to find that.
They do.
But that seems... Oh, here we go. Calculator, bio. But that just seems like one of those things. It's a travesty. Like, he's having an absolute resurgence this year. Arguably one of the best, I guess, let's just say offensive defensemen. There's no way Karlsson is playing quite defense anymore, sadly. But he's having like another career year, especially being 32 years old. And it's just sad that we won't get to see like some of the best players in the playoffs.
If they buy him out next year at June 15th for this year,
yeah,
the buyout cost is 2.166.667. So for the next 2 years, his cap hit next year's cap hit would only be 3.166. The year after that would be 3.666. But then
it's not terrible.
But then it jumps like crazy for 2 years. Goes to 9.666 and then 12.166.
What? It goes to 9?
It jumps from 3.666 to 9 for the second to last year of the contract, and then the last year becomes 12 million point one. So
oh my god.
But then after that, it's just 2.166 for the next 4 years.
Holy hell, so it's 3 and then 3, 6, 9, 6, and 12.
So for the next 2 years they save a total of 16 mil, but then the 2 years after that they save 1.8 mil, and then they're actually spending an extra 666,000 on the last year of his contract.
Oh my goodness, that is absurd.
Excuse me, I think I gotta find a trash can.
Oh my lord.
And it's
12.
mostly because those last 2 years are where a lot of the signing bonus money is.
Ah, okay. Yep, that's man, that is rough. That's like Parisi Suter rough right there, man. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness gracious.
So
12.
I know Chicago is sellers this year. Clearly, I mean they're having probably,
What? No.
arguably, one of their roughest seasons in the last 15 years. Because prior to that, we all know how Chicago was. It was just garbage. But Max Domi again on the move. Is he maybe a cancer in the locker room at this point? Because he's still young enough where he should fit the mold for a rebuild in Chicago.
Nah, I wouldn't say he's a cancer. Honestly, he's just a good, serviceable winger center who can just help a contending team right now. And if you're already rebuilding, you move those kind of players. I can see why Chicago did it.
Dallas
You know,
doesn't.
get
Dallas
something.
didn't need the extra goalie, so that frees up that cap space with Khudobin. So why not pick up a winger that can help solidify your top 6 and top 9?
Just a question.
Yeah.
But the quick trade to Vegas, because we didn't really talk much about that.
Yeah.
You know, your favorite goalie went the other way. Michael Hutchinson.
My God, Michael Hutch.
I didn't even know he was in the NHL still. So
Oh
Well,
my
he's-
goodness.
I don't think he is. Is it? Where'd that trade
it's
go?
not a minor league deal. It's an NHL roster trade.
Where'd that trade go?
Please tell me he is like, was he playing this year? Oh my goodness, was he play? Wait, he said he went from.
From
What?
Vegas to Columbus.
He's on Columbus
What-
now.
He is on Columbus. Okay, so was he playing for the Henderson Silver Knights? Oh, that's got me hella curious. I need to look that up now. I need to know what Michael Hutchinson was doing in 2023. Oh my goodness, I am morbidly curious.
He's on the NHL roster right now
He's on the roster right now, eh? Okay.
for Columbus. Let's see. Stats this year. Yeah, he was playing for the Henderson Silver Knights. He played 7 games, had a 2.74 goals against
hold on.
average.
Let me guess the save percentage. Let me see if I can guess it. Okay, hold on. It's Michael Hutchinson. I'm gonna guess it's below 900.
That's fair.
Okay, I'm gonna guess it's below 900. I'm gonna guess 7 games. Okay, if you make some, I'm gonna guess he had an 8.93.
Nope, higher than that. 8.97.
Oh, 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 oh no, 8.97. Oh,
So-
no.
I mean, he only allowed 2.7 goals per game, which is a lot better than in the on the Marlies last year.
That's facts. Facts.
So, curious if he would have played more, how it would have been. He might not have been facing a lot of shots.
That's a fair point, but man, it is mind blowing to see Michael Hutchinson get.
Yeah,
traded
that
in
man is.
2023.
I've had the pleasure, if you will, of watching that man live, and oh boy, that's tough.
That is absolutely tough, but man, I'm looking at Vegas right now. It's not a bad looking team, dude. You still have Eichel, Carlson, Marchessault. They got Ivan Barbashev. They got Phil the Thrill. That's not a bad team, man. Petro.
So,
Theodore's still pretty good.
so what did Edmonton do this trade deadline? I know they acquired.
Nick Bugstead.
No, where was
They required him.
Where was the
Matthias Ekholm, my friends.
Ekholm? That's the one I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big pickup for them. I mean, they swapped out Tyson Barrie for him. But
Yeah,
Can you say
really
Barry
good pickup.
properly? Barry. Barry.
Barrie.
I'd like him buried from my blue line, so no, Barry's a good one.
Oh, in the
Matthias
words of the
Ekholm's great.
in the words of our dear friend Tyler, right in the shins, Tyson Barry.
The thing about Matthias Ekholm is he's really, really good defensively. He is extremely good defensively, and that is
And-
definitely what Edmonton needed.
Right. They did not need any offensive defensemen. I mean, you have Connor McDavid scoring 2 goals a game for the last 5 games. Like, you don't need
Well,
offense.
Phil has the name for the Edmonton Oilers. Him and Marshall. What do you call them again?
Oh,
The
What's it
Edmonton.
called? The Edmonton McNooch-Sidles. Yes, that's right.
Hey,
Yeah, the Edmonton McNooch-Sidles. That's their team to me.
Nude Seidels?
McNooch-Sidles, the only
Like
3
that.
good players on that team, you know?
I mean, Zach Hyman
What?
would like a word with you this year.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. I just say it just to piss him off, to be honest. I can 100 respect Zach Hyman's game right now, you know?
Yeah, the Leafs are mad they let him go.
You know what? At that contract, I'm okay with it.
5.5.
Listen, I love Zach Hyman. I'm happy to see that man succeed. That lad absolutely deserves it. He was like the expected goals leader, like I want to say 2 weeks ago, which blew my mind that he was the one who was leading all teams in expected goals. Good for him, dude. Good for him. But,
definitely is having a year.
but Matthias Ekholm, I'm looking at his player card here. He's got 92% for even strength offense, so he's shutting it down. He's got 70. He's generating offense as well. Not really a dude you're going to put on your power play, but just a good dude who will snuff out teams' top lines. That's fantastic for them, to be honest. That's a great pickup.
It is. It's crazy. You talked about the pickups for the Leafs. Man, how does it feel having Luke Shen back?
That warms
Like-
my heart.
I'm happy to see his career come full circle because you got to imagine he's in the ending days of his career. Not too far that he's going to be like doing it next year, but you got to assume he's got maybe a couple of years left in him. And he's going to call it a career.
What?
So having him come home, I love it. He's now a matured player. He knows what he can and can't do, opposed to when we had him the first time. He throws body, which is something we definitely need, and he can eat minutes on the ice.
How do you have 9 defensemen up on your main roster for the Leafs?
I know what a cup, baby. Woo!
You have 12 forwards.
Doesn't matter. Cup.
Who are you
season!
playing? What if one of them gets hurt?
So the 23 player limit is actually gone at the trade deadline. So at this point in time now, you can bring up anybody just as long as you hit the cap. So you can send down players.
Who
I
are you
imagine
bringing up, though?
Pontus Holmberg's looking pretty good. He had a good stint up here. Bobby McMahon was on like a heater. He was getting like, I think he was like
McMahon
9
is
goals
on
in
a
10
tear in the
games
AHL
for
too.
like 10 AHL games. Like he's looking pretty fantastic.
I got to watch last weekend. I got to watch McMahon play in person. Holy crap! Is he a polarizing figure watching play, man?
He's got a great shot. He's
Like,
got a fantastic shot.
Yeah, definitely does.
And the great thing about Toronto is they have one contract spot open, and that is going to go
Oh, it says
to
they have...
one Matthew Nyes.
Oh, 49 out of 50. I see it. Okay.
He's going to be coming in. If not April, I think they said he could come in the earliest is April 8th. If
Yeah.
Minnesota doesn't make the Frozen Four or whatever the NCAA is called, like the tournament, I think the Frozen Four is like whatever the semis are. But if they get knocked out in the Division One tournament, he can come in April
I mean,
8th. And then I think it's April 16th or whatever. No, it's the game before Tampa. So whatever one that is, he can come in before. I think.
And you got to assume if they sign him, he goes to the Marlies because they're poised to make another run this year.
No, he goes. I'd say he goes to the third line.
Think so?
Yep, I absolutely think so. He's not making the top 6. They're not going to put that much pressure on him. He's going to go right to the top 9.
I mean, the Rangers have 48 contracts, so they have 2 open, but they only have 7,000 in cap space.
That's so messed up, man. Like that is this whole system sucks. To
I
bring it
have
back,
never
man.
seen that little cap space on a team.
My favorite was it earlier this season when it was either this season or last season when Toronto had LTIR and they got within $1, and then the next day,
Yes, I do remember that.
Vancouver got to exactly even, and that had never been done in the modern cap history, which I thought was so funny. That teams are that creative now, where they just make that work.
That was
Oh my
that was
God.
before the season started. That was during free agency.
That was this year? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I do remember seeing
it all-
that.
It all blends together, but that was so funny.
So,
Like, it's so gross. I hate the system, dude. I hate
So, let me ask. We discussed a few trades, so the biggest trades, obviously, and made little minor deals we've talked about. Given what we see now on rosters,
Mhm.
we obviously should see someone come out of the East as the Cup champion this year.
Yes, by far. I think the East has
Now-
got it.
We're very much way ahead of the game here because we still have 20 games remaining in the regular season. We all know playoffs are a different beast. Anything can happen.
Mhm.
We've seen Cinderella teams go on a hell of a run randomly. Right? So, let me ask you Scouts. You're a huge Rangers fan, been your entire life. Where do you compare this Rangers team to previous Rangers teams? Judging right now.
This team is fun to watch. Like, I enjoy watching them every night. They are quick. They have superstars on their team. Yeah, I mean, you had Panarin, you had Zibanejad, but now you bring Patrick Kane and Senko on this roster. Oof, I am all for it. What the Rangers need right now is for their defense to get solidified. We need Lindgren back, and we need Miller not to be stupid. And then Shesty has to become Shesty again. He's had a bad year. His stats are down. He needs to get back on that train and be what he was last year. And then I don't know if anybody can stop them.
You know who you guys need on defense, right?
Who?
You need Mr. Jack Action.
Yes!
Yeah.
Right, baby! The
Who?
action man. Yeah, what is up with Igor? He's got a 9'10", to 263. I mean, that's not a bad GAA, but compared to last season, yeah, like what
last
happened
year?
with
Last
him?
year was last year. He had a phenomenal year last year. In regards though, I feel like the defense in front of him is not doing what they need to do to help him, and they're leaving him out to dry a lot. And I think that's what's really hurt his numbers, that he's not making the unbelievable saves that he was last year. I don't think they're managing their time right, where they're playing Halak too much, and Halak is not a good goalie. His
Not anymore, no.
His numbers are bad. They needed somebody better behind him, and
So he's lacking.
My God.
Sorry.
if I had something to throw at you through this mic, and I knew it would for sure hit you and not break my screens, I would do it.
I had to do it. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh man.
So you're
So-
saying he's facing a lot of high danger chances, kind of is what you're getting at, and that's
Right.
why his numbers are taking a dip.
Yeah, the team hasn't played the defense that they need to play. The acquisition of Mikola has helped, but and then Harper coming up has made a big difference. But with Lindgren out right now and Miller suspended, we're playing, like I said, with 5 defense because we don't have the cap to bring anybody else up to help out. And all of them are playing 25 plus minutes, and now they're putting him in a tough spot as well.
With that being said, now give me your unbiased opinion on where you guys finish this year in the standings and then in the playoffs, and then I want your full-on, full fan, bleed blue where they're going to finish. So give me your realistic expectations versus your fan expectations.
All right, so realistic expectations, I feel they're going to stay in the 3 spot in the division. I know last year they fought near the top. I mean, they are only 6 points and 7 points behind the Devils and Hurricanes respectively, but they also have 2 more games played than the Devils and 3 more than the Hurricanes. So it is a tough hill to climb. I feel that once they make their playoffs, it's anybody's game, but I think they can make it back to the conference finals at minimum. Because when they hit the playoffs, the Rangers are a team that does not give up. We saw that last year with the comebacks. We just saw how they want to challenge for everything. So, as a realistic, conference finals at minimum. The fanboy
And now you're
wants to-
diehard. There you go.
the fanboy wants them to see the Raise the Cup again so I can go to another damn parade. Because the last one I went to,
1994, baby!
the last one I went to, hey, I'm not even going to say anything because when was the last time a Canadian team has won the cup?
June 9th, 1993, baby.
Correct. So the Rangers are more recent.
Damn
Fun
right.
fact: Phil's birthday.
Yep, June 9th, 1993, baby.
I
Oh.
I was at the parade that year, and I want to be
Yeah, we
at the
get it.
next
You're
one
like
that
80
was
years
there.
old.
I'm
No.
not 80 years old at all.
So now going into Phil, same question
Yes.
but now not the Rangers, the Leafs, because I know the Rangers are your second team. But
Yes. Oh yeah, 100%.
with the Leafs,
Yes.
what's your expectations?
My expectation, second round, minimum. Minimum. That's, I think, the realistic. I think this is the year they're getting through it. This is the year they're getting through it. I think they're built better up top. I think they're built better defensive. They kind of have to be built better defensively. They have the whole fucking population of defensemen playing defense right now. It's goaltending's a question mark, but I mean, any goalie can have a good run. I mean, Antti Niemi is a Stanley Cup champion, and that's all you need to know right there. Goaltending is just voodoo. It's weird, but I think Toronto can make the second round. My dream playoff bracket is they beat Tampa in the first round. They beat Boston in the second round. I see them play New York in the conference finals, and then I'm just happy with whoever gets out of there. And then they just beat whoever and win in the Stanley Cup. But I'm a realist. But I think second round is probably where they're going to meet their end. I've seen that story, Boston, Toronto, so many times. I have my season renewed for, what is it going to be, season 4 now of Boston, Toronto. And,
Yeah.
I know the ending every time, but I think they at least get by that first round this year. Dubas keeps his job, and then they kind of start again.
Fair enough. I mean, with me, I see them, keeping where they are now on pace to end the season. Like Phil, I see a second round berth. Realistically, and this isn't the fanboy talking, but realistically, I think if the Leafs can overcome the hurdle of that first round, sky is the limit. It's just going to put whatever into their legs, and they're going to go. Hopefully, it's a deep run. But again, we're Leaf fans, so we know not to expect anything because we've seen leads get blown in the playoffs. We've seen series get blown. Fanboy, I think every Leaf fan across the world wants to see them raise that cup, and when that does, and hopefully in the next few years, not 100 more years from now, the city of Toronto is going to get shut down because that parade is going to be massive.
That's a great thing I never thought of, is just getting past that first round, what that does to them psychologically. Yeah, that's a really
Do you
good
remember when
point.
Vancouver finally got past Chicago
Slaying
and they
the
went on that
dragon.
run?
Mhm.
I think that's
Alexander
the
Burrows.
same thing that happens to the Leafs.
Yeah, if the Leafs
That's-
make it past the first round, I can see them going all the way
Yeah,
because
that's
they're gonna believe they're unstoppable.
But as Laura alludes to too, is they get past that first round and they start getting in their heads like, oh shit, we're here
So,
in the second round,
Nope.
and things go downhill.
Speaking of
I
her,
don't think that
because
happens.
she is a Penguins fan.
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
happened to this trade that was rumored to have with Brock Besser going to Pittsburgh?
I think they're still working on it, but I think it becomes an off-season thing.
Yeah, that would make sense, dude. I thought it was going to be JT Miller, which made the least amount of sense to me. Like, they were rumored to be in on JT Miller, and then Patrick Alvin comes out and says, well, we were never talking about trading Miller. It's like, really? Like, now you're going to backpedal? But
Well, you have to, right? Because
Like, it
you
was
keep him
supposed to
around
be-
for the next 2 months.
They were supposed to go after Besser, and then there was the rumor that, it was going to be Besser and Chikrin, and neither happened. And then you had Ottawa get him, which surprised the hell
That
out of me.
confuses me. That's one we haven't even spoke of yet. That trade confused the shit out of me. Why is Ottawa being buyers right now?
they're at that time where they can. Listen, I don't think they're going to be in the basement for too much longer,
They're
man.
They're only right now 4 points out of a playoff spot,
Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying, dude.
and they have
like,
played 3 less games than the Islanders.
Mm-hmm.
So
They have. Sorry, go
Could this come down to a game 82 situation?
it definitely and absolutely could. But Ottawa has a sneaky good team. As I witnessed last night when they played the Rangers, albeit a dirty one with Austin Watson. I don't know how he wasn't suspended, but I guess because he wasn't a Ranger player, so that's why.
No, he doesn't wear blue and white. That's also why.
Right. It's
George
all right.
Harris
That's right.
is blue
It's
and
not.
white.
It's not Rangers or Leafs players when they call Toronto for like all these BS crap and never gets overturned.
That's why. There you go.
The guy gets a 5-minute major in a game misconduct. He doesn't even get suspended the next day. Still
It's a
baffling.
little bit.
But
Georgie boy is sleeping.
Ottawa has Kachuk, Giroux, DeBrincat, Batherson. Like, they are top heavy. Stutzel, which is still on a ELC contract.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's great for the national diving team. I heard.
I just don't know how his contract goes from $925K to $8.35 million. That's a crazy jump.
Have you heard of the 9.25 to 10.6? I'll tell you about that one.
Well, wasn't that Marner?
Him and then Matthews was like 11. So I'll tell you about
Well,
jumps.
Matthews, I can understand. Like he's like McDavid
Marner's-
level, where I can see that. I can't
Marner's
see that for
contract at the
Stutzel.
time- Marner's contract at the time looks stupid, but he's showing that he's worth the money now, in my opinion. But I'm a big Marner guy, so
I'm just like
I don't care.
I
He's just
I,
national
like I
diving.
like how the Rangers do things in regards to the trade, like with their signings. They give a little bridge deal for these players, and the players play better. They get more developed, and then they earn their contract.
Man, Scouts, you made a really good point. I'm looking at Ottawa, who they have long term. Yeah, those names you listed all signed long term. Thomas Chabot and even Chychrun for 2 years after this. Artem Zub, like, not only are they on the up and up, they have flexibility.
And not only that, I mean, you still have DeBrincat, who is an RFA next year.
Oh my God, I just saw that. Oh
So
my.
he's not going anywhere unless they trade him.
My God.
So they're like, when the owner passed away earlier this year, and I hate to say this, that was the best thing that ever happened to that team.
I mean, even before he died, that's what everybody in the league was saying, that he needed to get out.
Right.
Listen,
Like-
Ryan Reynolds is in such good shape right now, okay? I'll tell you that much.
But
He's in fantastic shape right now.
their team is going to be sneaky good for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
I think we see them go back to being the pesky Sens.
Oh my God, dude. Jake Sanderson can't even go to arbitration. That sucks.
What is that? What is
Dude.
that 10.2? 10.2?
That means he's not going to hit the status required for RFA status, which means he can't get an offer sheet.
So that's the same with Shane Pinto.
Yeah, teams can't even scoop him. Like, two good
So,
players
okay.
right there.
So I'm glad you brought up the RFA, because not a lot of people know what the RFAs are. I think there's only been 11 signed since the institution of that. I think that's the number, 11 or 14.
RFAs? Are you
No,
talking offer sheets?
offer sheets.
Okay.
I think there's either 11 or 14 that have been signed since the institution of the offer sheet. So, if a player is an RFA, 99% they're staying with their same team.
Unless you're Carolina and Montreal.
And those are two of the exceptions where they paid out their ass to have it happen. Because,
Yeah, how well did that turn out for Carolina with that player?
for instance, you have a big one this year with the Devils. His RFA contract is going to be $10.2 million. That's like that's what he's the minimum he can get as a Devils if they sign him to a RFA offer sheet. Like if they offer him the number. So any team would have to beat that. And in order to do that, you're giving up 4 first-round picks.
Yep, that's correct. They moved the compensation
if
this
he
year, too.
accepts. What team is going to offer that?
Well, the team has to a chance to match too, right? Not just
Well, yes,
player
the
accepting.
Devils have the chance to match it, but the Devils don't want to give anybody right now more than what they're paying Jack Hughes.
I get it, and I think, like Phil alluded to earlier in the conversation, the hard cap makes these situations really tough to justify.
not even hard cap. It's an unspoken rule amongst GMs that you don't offer sheet, which I think is just pure poppycock in this point in time. It's such an old school mindset. I mean, if you're competing to win, like, man, in franchise mode, I'm doing that all the time, man. If I see a good player that I want who's got tremendous potential, I'm gonna sign him to an offer sheet.
But the problem
I
with
dare you.
the problem is the compensation. The compensation is overly ridiculous.
But that's
Yes.
why it's there, so that they
Mhm.
don't.
Right. So it's the unspoken rule, and then you have the compensation to where it leads to 14 in the last 18 years or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
just crazy.
So with that being said, fellas, give me your final four, final two.
Okay. It's that's tough.
Bias or unbiased?
Let's keep it unbiased,
Okay.
just for the entertainment value of it.
All right.
It's pretty tough. Let me bring up the standings really quick so I can get a seed.
That's
and how
what
it's
I'm
seeded
doing
right now.
That's what I'm doing.
All
I
right.
just want to see the seeding. That's all.
So, for the East, I think the final two you're going to get, I could see it being Carolina and Boston.
Mm.
And I understand they're first in their respective divisions right now. I just don't see any team beating Carolina based off of their defense and how they play. So that's why, as much as I think the Rangers or Devils could beat them, I just don't think they could beat them in a 7-game series.
You know, I brought up the standings while you're picking your West. Holy hell, does the West suck for points?
Oh yeah,
Like,
it's garbage. It's
what the
garbage,
hell?
dude.
For the West, I want to say Colorado versus Edmonton. Because I think Edmonton shored up their defense enough to where it's going to help them.
I mean, that could depend on how consistent Edmonton can be down the stretch too, though, because they could fall right out of the wagon here for playoffs.
Yeah, I know, but they've also just had a recently rough patch where they've gone 4-3-3, and that's what's put them down to where they are.
No, oh yeah, I get that. I'm just saying, like, but based on those four, who do you got in the final?
I feel like it's going to be Boston, Colorado.
Ugh. I respect it, but
I know. I mean, Edmonton has scored the most goals in the league right now.
all right. Well, Phil's still picking his fantasy final, just final. Rangers who?
Wow, I didn't know that, Scales. Wow, 273. That's nuts.
237.
Or 237. Sorry.
Yeah,
Wow,
but I
the
mean,
numbers
Boston
too.
has given up the fewest at 130, and they have a differential of 103.
Lord.
So I don't
So
think
disgusting.
I don't think anybody's beating Boston. I'm sorry.
I mean, they're on pace to beat the all-time record for points this season, which is
Right.
mind-blowing.
Yep.
That's, you know what? That's fair. Gentlemen, do you know what happened to the last team that did that?
They lost in the first round.
Ah, that is true. Do you know what else happened, series? Top of your head, anyone need a refresher? They got swept.
They got swept 4-0. Yep.
They got
That was
swept.
Detroit that did it, wasn't it?
No,
it was
that was
Tampa.
the Columbus Blue
Oh, the
Jackets.
Columbus, right? That year that they were. They lost to the, and that was still when it was 1-8, wasn't it? Because it was the 8th seed that.
No, it was, they were wild card. They were the second wild card, and they beat the first Atlantic.
Oh, that wasn't the 1-8.
No, that was 2018-19. And they Tampa lost to Columbus. It was still wild card at that point.
So, well, again, what's your fantasy final? Rangers versus who?
Fantasy file?
Yeah, because you know the Rangers are there. So I'm just asking you for a Western Conference team.
I would love to see Rangers versus Vegas.
Interesting.
Really?
I don't
You
wanna
want
say-
Rangers. You don't want Rangers Kings exercise that demon from 2014. You don't want that.
Fuck no, because the Rangers got screwed.
You want to talk about screws? All right.
Yeah. That's why the NHL has the offsides challenges, because they know they fucked up.
All right, Phil.
Don't
Give me your
bring that,
Final Four
Don't
and
bring that
cup
up.
prediction.
Not ready to talk about that yet.
That's the thing. I
We're
get
still not
nervous
ready to
for
talk
you,
about
but I'm
2013,
used to
but-
pain. Okay. For me, it's you know what. I'm gonna stray away from Boston, man. I don't trust juggernauts that do this good. Tampa kind of burned that bridge for me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with New York, and screw it. I'm gonna go with Toronto. I think you made a really good point, man. If they get past that first round, I think sky's the limit. And then I'm gonna go in the West. Oh my God, let me scroll down to this mediocrity. I'm gonna go with Colorado, and yeah, I'll go with Vegas for the Final Four there. And then in the Cup final, I'm gonna go with the Rangers against the Colorado Avalanche, and I think Colorado wins in 6.
And your fantasy is Leafs versus.
Leafs versus Edmonton. Toronto wins in 4, baby.
All right.
I mean, that's what you want, because then Canada exercises their demon.
Damn right, baby.
Yeah, we need a cup.
Regardless.
We need a home cup. For me, I'm gonna say Carolina, Toronto in the East, just because again, that leg thing. I think it'll just go to their legs. The West, I got Colorado, Vegas,
Nice.
and then Colorado, Carolina in the final.
Okay. And then who wins?
Fantasy, Leafs versus anybody because nobody's coming out of the West. So
Hold on. Who wins in Carolina, Colorado, though?
ooh, Carolina.
Yeah. Okay. And how many games?
I'd go 5. I
5.
think Colorado get one in there. Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Like I said,
Solid pick. All right.
it's the East's year to choke, man.
Damn, 5.
On paper, I don't think Colorado matches up to Carolina.
That's
Other-
it's not a bad point.
But again, it's on paper. We don't play the game at a professional level. We're quote unquote armchair DM. But yeah, I think that just about does it. Who's your guys' biggest winner in of the trades this year?
New York Rangers. New York Rangers, baby.
I have to agree.
New York Rangers. Huge dubs.
And Matt's over there blushing like a schoolgirl. She's like, finally, my team's getting recognition.
I really can't
Stop it.
say that I really can't say that they are the biggest winners, because we don't have a full team yet, and I don't know when we will, based off of our cap situation. So it is tough. Man, I feel like Toronto had a good trade deadline also. And Haley in the chat is saying we forgot the Islanders. Okay, the Islanders.
Oh.
We
I got
forgot
a
to
couple
talk
minutes
about
for
the
that. Okay, yeah,
the
yeah.
Bo Horvat trade to
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, let's talk back that really quickly. Yeah.
I mean, that one kind of, I want to say came out of nowhere, but it really didn't because the way Vancouver's been going this year, you've seen Horvat leaving, but the Islanders being the destination was the shocking part of that.
And he signed him a not bad contract, to be honest with you.
And for them to give up Beauvillier and a first, I mean, yes, it is a protected first, but it's a first nonetheless, whether it is 2023 or 2024. But, I don't know, I liked Beauvillier as a player. I would be happy to have him on the Rangers.
Yeah, and that
I
team
mean-
actually, when fully healthy, that team actually could be pretty good. I mean, you still got Matthew Barzal, Anders Lee, Brock Nelson, but then you also have, Oliver Wahlstrom, Jean-Gabriel Pajot, still decent. Like, that's a good player. You have the absolute forechecking legend of Pierre Engvall now. Like,
Well, that was
That's
that was
not a
another
bad team,
trade,
man.
That was another trade they made. That was a That was just a quick, easy trade with Toronto. You got him for a third round pick. So
Yeah.
Toronto was getting all these picks, and you thought they were going to do something with it, make it like a big trade, and then they just stopped.
Hey, the offseason still has to happen. Remember that.
Yeah, I know, but you're doing it for the trade deadline. Like, you're trying to make that big splash. Like, everybody assumed they were going after Chikrin with what they were acquiring with all these trades. Like, why did you get Boston's first if you weren't going to go use it for something else?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like
Speaking
that,
of Boston again, and I know we're talking about New York at the moment, but Pasternak deal today, wild.
Disgusting.
If you didn't see that coming, you're dumb.
Yeah. He was
okay,
absolutely
so
going to resign.
It's not about not seeing it coming, but damn, like, the cap space is ridiculous.
Yeah, but he's going to be the next captain once Bergeron retires.
That's a good point. Next captain, who could be for the Islanders, to bring it on back here. Noah Dobson's only 23 right now, and he's signed for $4 million for 2 more years after this, and still an RFA. He's a pretty good defenseman. Like, that back end kind of looks decent, man. Ryan Pulock, Adam Pelech locked up, Noah Dobson. They still have Romanov making 2.5, and man, that's not a bad little top 4 right there, dude. The Islanders are surprising. If Sorokin like keeps his form and like really blossoms into like he's already a good goaltender, but if he takes that like jump to like superstar goaltender, like they can keep pucks out of the net. But the Islanders' problem since 91 left has been scoring goals.
So the problem with the Sorokin deal, I feel, is it's only for 1 more year.
Yes.
And then he'll be 28, and he's a UFA. So he's gonna command lots of money.
Yeah.
At least with the Rangers, they have Igor for 1 year after that. Even though that his contract is 1.6 million higher, that extra year makes a big difference. Because then he's playing until 30, and then he can earn 1 more contract.
So I was watching the Sportsnet coverage of the trade deadline today, which had Biznasty on, and Biznasty interviewed Bo Horvat on air. We all know Biz doesn't give a shit what he says on air. No. We all know this. He literally was talking to Horvat and goes, "How does it feel going from Vancouver to the NHL's most boringest team?" On air. And Horvat didn't even know how to answer that. And then he goes on and asks them how it feels to shake hands with the man that has to one-up you in a handshake, Lou Lamoriello. Like, while it was entertaining, I'm still wondering why Sportsnet allowed Biz on for this, because...
No, don't care. I want this shit in hockey, man. It makes it more entertaining. It makes it more exciting. I do not
Yeah, but we can't have Don Cherry.
Okay, that's a whole different situation.
He said you people for many years, but anyways, I know what you're saying.
That's apples to oranges, completely different.
I know what you're saying.
Why is your team boring? Like, that's the closest we'll ever have to the NBA on TNT panel, which is a godsend if you've never watched that. It is incredible. But I like
Stephen A. Smith on that.
I like Biz. I like PK talking hockey. Like, those guys, like, they're entertaining, man.
PK can take a hike.
Speaking of PK, did you see him roll his eyes at Mark Messier the other day? Oh, that was great.
I like PK as what he's doing, but I still have a hate for him as a player. So it's hard to separate the two at the moment. He hasn't been.
Understandable.
He has not been he has not been retired for long enough yet. I still have the hatred of PK Slewfoot. So
yeah, but don't we have your team that literally took out goalies for fun?
Relax, he was pushed.
See.
First off, I listen. Chris Kreider had a whole stick bend around his shins and went down. Okay, have you seen that slow mo?
No one wants to believe it. Everybody wants to say, "Oh, he just ran into him." No, he didn't.
The stick warped around his knees. There was that much force and velocity. It warped. Listen, I know Bowers and Reeboks are strong, but that man went down with force. Okay, who was it? Alexei Yemelin? Go ask him why he did that. All right.
PK took out Sammy Blais last year and ruined his potential to be what he could have been on the Rangers. Just look at what he's doing now, feeling comfortable back in St. Louis after the trade. He had 2 goals in the first 10 games he was there. He didn't have any goals as a Ranger.
Wait, he really like zero his entire time?
0.
No shot.
Because
Really?
he missed like 78 games last year. Like he got injured during
Oh,
preseason
shit.
and didn't come back till like the week before the playoffs.
Oh yeah, that's right. So I guess he only had like what, 16 and then like
Right.
40 games under his belt. Like
Yeah.
damn. Okay, fair enough.
So and then he just was that type of player that I don't know, like he just seemed like he was going out to injure people near the end of his career. So I can't separate the two between him as a player and as an announcer yet, as an analyst. So
That's understandable. You know what? Fair enough. But
He's a-
I'm back there. I like when the analysts have personalities. That
oh,
makes
he
me
has a
happy.
great personality for it. I eventually
It's
will.
biz.
I eventually will like him as one. I just can't yet.
So, with that
Understandable.
being said, I think this is a good stopping point. I think we covered about as much as we could that was worth noting. I mean, other deals around the league were minor that really had no playoff implications or anything like that.
Rangers made 7 trades. Jeez.
Mhm.
So, we'd like to, here off the top, we'd like to thank Arcade Regiment, aka Phil, for joining us as a special guest tonight. Where can the listeners find you, Phil?
You can find me on Spotify and Apple Music. Actually, just look Burning Bridges. That's my little music project here. You know, we're making tracks. We're recording. Find us there. We got 3 tracks out. 2 more coming. Find us there, man.
If you want a sample size of Burning Bridges, you can head over to our TikTok page and look at our Crown Jewel prediction video. That is actually their song.
Yeah. Thanks, man. That was dope. That was fun.
Gals, where can we find you?
You can find me on Off the Top here on Twitch as well as YouTube, on TikTok and Twitter. It's Off the Top Media _, and I have a personal TikTok, Scouts24.
And you can always find me, going around the TikTok universe. That guy Shadow 91, or unapologetically Shadow on TikTok as well. Once again, we're grateful that you guys came out and listened tonight. We appreciate it and look forward to our wrestling podcast here in the next week. Cheers.
Have a great
Take
evening,
care.
everybody. All right, we're off.